Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Dark Tales Short 101. Tonight, we're going to tell this story a little differently. For the next few moments, imagine that you are not just listening to a story. Imagine you are there with me. Everything you are about to hear will be told as if we were the ones who experienced it ourselves, deep in the woods, alone in the darkness, hearing every sound, feeling every moment of fear. This story was shared with me by someone who truly believes he encountered something in the forest that night. Whether it was real or something beyond explanation is up to you to decide. So turn down the lights, put on your headphones, and step into the darkness with me. We only wanted a quiet weekend away from the city. That was all. No traffic, no phones, no people. Just the woods and silence. By the time we reached the campsite, the sun was already disappearing behind the trees. The road getting there had been rough and narrow, twisting deeper into the forest, until it felt like we had left the rest of the world behind. The deeper we drove, the older the woods began to feel. The trees were massive, crooked, ancient. Their branches stretched overhead like giant hands blocking out the sky. At first, it felt peaceful. The air smelled damp and cold. A small creek ran nearby, and the only sounds around us were insects chirping and branches moving in the wind. We set up the tent beside a clearing and started a fire. The flames crackled softly while darkness slowly surrounded us from every direction. For the first time in months, we finally felt relaxed. But sometime around 10 that night, everything changed. The forest became quiet. Too quiet. Not normal quiet. Dead quiet. The insects stopped all at once. The frogs stopped. Even the wind seemed to disappear. The silence became so heavy that it felt wrong, like the entire forest was listening. Then we heard it. A whistle. Soft, far away. 3 short notes echoing somewhere between the trees. At first, we thought another camper might be nearby. But then the whistle came again. This time, from a completely different direction. The exact same sound, perfectly identical. We stood up and stared into the darkness beyond the firelight. "Hey!" we shouted. No answer. Only silence. Then, a few minutes later, the whistle returned. Closer. That was the moment the fear started creeping in. We grabbed the flashlight and swept the beam across the woods. Tree trunks, bushes, darkness. Then the beam stopped. Something was standing between the trees. Tall, too tall. At first, it looked human, but something about it felt wrong. Its arms looked unnaturally long, hanging lower than they should. The figure stood completely still behind a tree, half hidden in the darkness. We shouted again. No response. Then slowly, the thing leaned backward behind the tree until it disappeared completely. We tried convincing ourselves it was another camper trying to scare us, but deep down, we already knew something wasn't right. We threw more wood onto the fire and stayed close to the flames. That was when the footsteps started. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Slow footsteps circling the campsite somewhere out there in the darkness. Every time we pointed the flashlight toward the sound, it stopped immediately. The moment we lowered the light, the footsteps continued. circling us, watching us. Hours passed like that. Then, sometime after midnight, we heard something that froze the blood in our veins. Our own voice, from deep within the woods. "Hey!" Exactly the way we had shouted earlier. Then again. "Hey!" The same tone, the same voice, our voice. Whatever was out there had heard us and copied us. Then the whistle returned, this time directly behind the tent. We spun around with the flashlight and caught movement darting between the trees. We only saw it for a second, but it looked pale gray, impossibly thin, moving with strange jerking motions that didn't look human. That was when panic finally took over. We threw more wood onto the fire until the flames rose high into the darkness. Then came the scream. A horrible scream exploded through the forest. It sounded almost human, but twisted into something animal-like. The sound echoed through the trees so loudly that we could feel it in our chest. Then came crashing noises from the woods. Something big was moving fast toward the campsite. Branches snapped violently. Heavy footsteps pounded against the ground. We aimed the flashlight toward the darkness and finally saw it clearly. Something pale rushed between the trees on all fours before suddenly standing upright behind one of the trunks. Its eyes reflected brightly in the flashlight beam. Too high off the ground to belong to any normal animal. Then it smiled. Not like a human smile. Wider. Wrong. Like it had watched people before, but didn't fully understand how humans were supposed to smile. Terrified, we grabbed the rifle and fired one shot into the darkness. The entire forest instantly went silent. Then the creature let out another scream so loud it hurt our ears. That was enough. We ran for the truck. Our hands shook so badly we almost dropped the keys trying to unlock the door. Finally, the engine roared to life. As we backed away from the campsite, the headlights swept across the trees. And that was when we realized there wasn't just one of them. There were several. Tall, pale figures standing silently between the trees, watching us, motionless. We slammed the gas pedal and sped down the dirt road as fast as we could. Branches scraped violently against the truck while darkness flew past the windows. Then something slammed into the side of the vehicle, hard. We looked into the side mirror and saw a pale figure running beside the truck through the woods, keeping pace with us, smiling. We drove nearly 80 miles an hour until we finally reached the highway. The moment we reached civilization, everything stopped. No whistles, no screams, no footsteps, nothing. But after that night, we never went camping alone again. Even now, years later, whenever we hear whistling in the distance late at night, we still remember that forest. And sometimes, we still wonder what would have happened if we had followed the whistle deeper into the woods. Thank you all for joining me tonight here on Dark Tales Short 101. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And join me again for more terrifying encounters, dark mysteries, and chilling tales shared by those who believe they experienced something beyond explanation. Until next time, stay safe and never follow the whistle in the dark.